Fishbowl. Fishbowl. Jump in.
Brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
Clap your hands for those that can dance.
Welcome to Mental Speak. Mental and emotional balance. You are now locked into the Mental Speak radio show on the Fishbowl Radio Network.
Good Friday afternoon, good Friday evening, Mental Speak family. See my urban intellectual family out there, to every listener, the Fishbowl family around the world. Thank you so much for tuning into the Mental Speak radio show on the Fishbowl Radio Network. You're listening to us live on the FBRN.US Red Stream, or you are listening to us on the Fishbowl Radio app, or you're watching us live on Facebook. I want to say hello. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show. As always, don't I tell you guys each week is going to be a week that brings you knowledge and information that helps us to bring self and society into balance. You all know that if you've been listening over the last 10 months, it's just been show after show after show of information that hopefully empowers. Whatever your tribe is, wherever you come from, whatever you do, I do my best to bring you knowledgeable, competent people, whether they have credentials or no credentials, but they're coming with you with information so that you can take empowerment into your own hands. Take it into your world and to apply it. You cannot do any action, any desired action, and expect a desired outcome unless you have information that gives you direction. So today, I don't even know how to intro this. I mean, no pretense. Professor Griff is in the house. Professor Griff. And I also have a dynamic young man who gives us hope for the future, for young black men, for men, period, everywhere. Brother Ben X out of Dallas, Texas. Hello, gentlemen.
Greetings. How are you?
Hey.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Thank you for being here. This we're talking to the world. We have Fishbowl everywhere: India, Venezuela, Australia, Denmark. Who else? We top 10 every week. Russian Federation, China, UK, Ireland, Ghana, Nigeria. I'm shouting you out. Thank you so much for tuning in, and please open your eyes, open your ears. If you're watching on Facebook, open your ears if you're listening, and get this information today, because it's going to empower. Professor Griff, you are here to speak tomorrow on the state of the game. Mm-hmm. Quick definition. State of the game.
State of the game simply says that we have to undo some of the things that have been done to us in the name of politics, religion, education, and the other 6 areas of people activity. We have to undo this perpetual state of mindlessness in order to move towards what the Creator created us to be. There's a game that's being played in the 9 areas of people activity, and the 10th one being health, that we seem to be on this perpetual treadmill. We're not making progress, and we're watching other people make progress around us. Mainly tomorrow I'm going to focus in on entertainment, culture, mainly hip-hop, some sports, and we're going to see the interlocking relationship between hip-hop, mainly hip-hop, culture, politics, education, religion, and some other things. And we're going to talk about what's going on now and how has the game changed. And then what is the game? We need to define that.
We need to know.
Right, we need to know. And what game is being played. Not only that, what are the rules? If you're on a football field with a tennis racket, yeah, you're hustling backwards.
we something wrong. We ain't doing it right. So I heard you in an interview, and you dropped a name towards the end of the interview. He said, I'm going to different cities. I'm on a tour, and I'm dropping through. He said, I'm going through Dallas, Texas, and I'm going to link up with Brother Ben X.
Mm-hmm.
Why Brother Ben X?
I put that out there simply because who better to pass the baton back to? You understand what I'm saying? And know that body of work will be because we can entrust it with an individual like that, because we understand the like-mindedness, understand the spirit and the methodology and the approach.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And then when a person puts a body of work out that Brother Ben X has put out, it's like, okay, we're like minds attract like minds.
Right.
That's why my show is called Sirius Mindz. Sirius minds attract serious minds. Seriously.
And when I heard it, it made sense. It made total sense. I said, yes, Professor Griff needs to sit here and stand here with Brother Ben X. Introduce yourself to those who have not heard of you.
Well, my name is Brother Ben X, as she has said. I'm a spiritual son and student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm a brother who started off as a basketball player, All-American basketball player who was woken and awakened by the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and now I'm spreading that message to millions of people. I have over 400 million views on social media, and I'm a brother whose mission is to simply give life to the dead and to show the youth that we do have a future, no matter what the society has said about us, no matter how deep in the mud we are. We know you got to dig down in the mud for diamonds and rubies, so I'm just trying to show people that you are that diamond and you are that ruby, and all we have to do is recognize who we are, which is God's, and we can make manifest whatever we want and whatever we will in our mind.
All right.
It's a beautiful thing. Again, when you speak, it's like it. For me, again, I've stated, for those of you listening for the first time, did I even say who I am? I'm Latanya Davison. I'm the host. But I am a mental health therapist, social psychologist. I've social work, and I work with people who are at the lowest points of their lives. And when I've worked with young men directly, they often don't have hope. They're often at the point of wanting to take their lives. And so many times what I'm having to show them, one, is how to think in the game. Crazy thing is, Professor, is they know it's a game, but they don't know how to play. They don't know how to play.
And do you find that a lot of times they have this generational thing that's been put on them that they feel they have to break through?
I feel that this generation, believe it or not, sees more than my generation and even the generations before me. They see it. They see that their parents see it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes
they
sense,
can see that their parents can't see, but they don't have the tools and the power from where they are to mitigate it, right, or to even approach it. So I'm even often trying to wonder, how do I empower them at the level that I'm doing it? Brother Ben X is taking it to the streets. I'm meeting them in hospitals. You see what I'm saying? I'm meeting them when they're sick and they're called mentally ill, but they're able to say, I know I'm to teach them that you don't have to blame yourself for what's being put on you.
Right. So the question needs to be asked then, and I'm sure Ben can answer this also. I went through a rites of passage 3 different times. To get that street cred, I had to go through that rites of passage. You understand? I went through a rites of passage in the nation, and the way we go through is we write the letter, we have to recite the lessons, and we have to change our lives and live up to a certain standard that's already been set. So is that rites of passage built into the home?
It's missing.
Okay. Who has to reestablish that? And then what affirmations and then what reaffirmations do we have to instill in those young men's life as they make their way into adulthood? Where are they going to get it from? So if we don't have a Ben X on YouTube, with the average 7-8-year-old walking around with a $500 cell phone. If he wasn't there, where else are they going to get him?
That's it.
So that's the question. Before, how I got it was, okay, you went up on the block and it was what it was. You learned certain lessons up off the block, but you went on the block already having a foundation from home. You understand what I'm saying? There was something over, we pulled from the center, whatever we were rooted in. We say, okay, I'm not going too far to the left because mom taught me better. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not going to go too far to the right because the neighbors are watching. They're going to tell mom.
Yep.
So there were certain things that kept us somewhat in check. Remember when your mom used to call you when you had to be home when the lights?
When the lights came on.
But what if you lived in an area where there were no lights? You remember them lightning bugs used to light up? Which they don't come around no more? When the lightning bugs came out, they lit up. We knew to go home.
Get to the house.
You said get to the house.
Get to the house. Too late. It's too late.
Or your mom would punish you by going to the front door and calling you by your full name.
And everybody could hear.
Latanya Aloysius, get in this house. And you was embarrassed. You just said, "Ma, chill."
I'll be there.
Exactly.
I take responsibility. I feel that what do they call us? Zennials. We're Zennials. I'm 40, so all the Zennials between 1973, I think it is, and 1983, something like that.
Wow.
Y'all tell me that but it's about that. I'm taking responsibility. I think it's our generation of parenting.
Okay, you're taking responsibility.
I'm taking
for
responsibility for not instilling the. Here's what I think happened. I think, and we're going to get into, again, we talked a little bit before on the Facebook Live feed. So if you tune into the Facebook Live feed, you'll hear us talking a little bit about this. But we watched Public Enemy. We talked a little bit about being a rebel, right? Rebelling. And I think that our generation in many ways wanted to rebel. We didn't want to, we acted up in church. We did everything we weren't supposed to be doing, right? And then we lost our way. But I don't believe that we had the same kind of structure, and I feel that we're not giving the same kind of structure and passing it on to the next generation because we want to be hands off. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking that's part of what's contributing to these children not having any idea of which direction to go.
Yeah, there's something strange happening at the family reunion now. Those things are not being passed on.
Couple that with the dad not at the house.
Exactly. But the uncle is there, but he's on drugs. The big brother's there, but he's go to community college. He's trying to do his thing.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So there are people other than dad, because my dad wasn't there, because my dad passed on. But that's no excuse. I can't lean on that crutch. You understand what I'm saying? But the thing that took its place was the men that I had on my walls. Did I not have Marcus Garvey on my wall? Yeah. Did I not have John Carlos and Tommy Smith with their fists in the air in 1968 Olympics? Yeah. Did I not have Black Panthers on my wall? Yeah. Che Guevara was on my wall. You understand what I'm saying? So I just, not necessarily a crutch, I think that was the wrong terminology, but I used that to say, okay, I wonder right now, if my dad was here, how would he instruct me? But my mom understood that particular dynamic. Brothers stepped up. I got 6 brothers that stepped up. I stayed playing basketball. She got me into karate. You understand what I'm saying? Then to cadets, junior FOI, and I became that man that the Creator created me to be.
She knew to find you structure.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I think that's the thing that's missing. But if I'm 58 and brother here is 24, and people were listening, your age were listening to Public Enemy, who's been next listening to? You understand what I'm saying? That's going to speak truth to power to him, and you resonate with it, and then you even use that when you go into the schools to teach. Who is that group now? Where's that body of work now? And I keep hearing the same names over and over and over. Yes, Kendrick Lamar is giving us an aspect, a glimpse of it. Yes, maybe J. Cole. But where are the women groups? Where's the voices coming from? We need a meiotic balance.
Yeah.
Where are the women saying these things? You see, I grew up and heard Aretha Franklin. You understand what I'm saying? Went to a couple of concerts, grew up and to be the man that I am, to actually go and meet the woman. But where do young people have that at today?
gone.
It's non-existing.
It's non-existent.
It's non-existing, so much so that we can't even point to an example now. Like, for example, I'm growing up, I'm born in 1960. By the time I was 8 years old, Sly and the Family Stone was already on the scene with an integrated black, white, Mexican group, men and women.
Yeah.
Where do you find that at? During that time, the first time people was experiencing the television, during that particular time, they witnessed the Vietnam War and other things that were going on. But I had a mom and brothers in place and uncles in place to explain to me what was going on. And music every day in the house, especially the weekend when mom's cleaning up.
Yep. Every Saturday.
Right, exactly. Music was being played in the home. What were those songs that helped shape my consciousness? You understand what I'm saying? So
soul. Soul music.
It was the soul music that connected with an aspect of who and what we are as a people. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, the Dells were being played, the Dramatics, Temptations, the Supremes, Mighty Clouds of Joy. I mean, I can go on, the Intruders. I can go on and on. But at the same time, you know, she was playing Reverend Pigfoot, Reverend Fatback,
yeah,
Reverend Ham Hock.
Reverend Ham. Brother Ben, who are you influenced by?
To be honest, not to be so cliche, but I'm really influenced by the minister. I don't really listen to music.
Okay.
Majority of my day, I'm probably breaking down lectures and studying the lectures, so that's literally who I listen to.
Yeah.
Or Brother Neary, or anybody else online that I'm just trying to study economically wise. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, I'm at the age now. I mean, I know I'll be saying we need to help the youth like I'm not the youth sometimes.
you know, adolescence, it ends at 24, right?
Yeah, you know, but even when I was like 23 and 22, you know, people been saying I got an old soul for a long time. I almost told you I was 78 trillion years young when you asked me how old I was.
I already know.
But
we're not talking genetically.
But you know, but actually, the people that y'all are naming is who I grew up listening to. Yolanda Adams, that's who my mom listened to. When I be on my live streams, I don't listen to new music. I be listening to Sir Charles. I be listening to Johnny Taylor. I'm an old school type of guy, so you know, I be listening to stuff like that. So that's who I be influenced. I wouldn't say I be influenced by them, but I like the soul music. It wasn't so vulgar, you know, what they was talking about, but it was like, it was smooth, so that's what I be listening to.
Yeah, but you got bars though, don't you?
I make some music. I do. I have like maybe 18 songs. I make music whenever I'm inspired to, so I got a whole, I guess you can say, mixtape out. I just put it up on my website though.
Awesome. Professor, you quote Steve Biko a lot. Revolution is not an event.
It's a process.
It's a process. Where are we in this process of the revolution?
Well,
what is the revolution?
Right. The whole idea of revolution is complete constructive, conscious, cosmic change given to us by Khalid Abdul Muhammad. But when you talk about the word revolution, if you can visualize it, the re in revolution means to bind back to. And if you take a closer inspection of the word revolution, inside of the word revolution is evolution. So in order to evolve, you got to bind yourself back. But back to what? Back to the core essence of who we are as a people. So on one hand, if W.E.B. Du Bois said we had a double consciousness, we have to understand what that means. If Marcus Garvey said race first, we have to understand that, what that means, and make space for both of those concepts. And then if Elijah Muhammad came along and says, nah, we're direct descendants from the Creator himself, we have to make room for that and being able to appreciate those concepts. You understand what I'm saying? So when you talk about revolution, you're talking about change. So if we're talking about revolution being, it's not an event, that it's a process, well, what is the process of this evolutionary change on a spiritual, mental, psychic level? So we're going to change regardless. Nothing is going to stay the same. Technology is changing so fast, it's even difficult to keep up with it.
Yeah.
But we cannot let someone else dictate how we should view ourselves as technology changes. So when we view ourselves back through the lens of an iPhone, we have to be the original people regardless of what that thing says.
What's the show, Black Mirror? Have you seen it?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about that. And Brother Ben, you use social media. It's been your vehicle in many ways, in many aspects. What are the downsides? What are the downsides to social media these days?
I have so many upsides. I don't even really know the downsides. I guess the downside could be our people, the 85% being fooled, and when I say 85%, I mean dumb, deaf, and blind, who are easily led in the wrong direction. I think they can be led in the wrong direction by those who have ill intentions. So if they get in contact with somebody who was really not for the people, but they're coming in the name of consciousness, they can be fooled and have the wrong conception or mindset about somebody who they haven't met before. Kind of like back in the day, if they was misrepresenting the minister on TV, until you actually go to his lecture, you like, okay, he's not really teaching hate. Okay, he's not a hate teacher. So I think that is the only downside that I can see. Other than that, man, I think it's been beautiful. Like you said earlier, it's God and the devil. A lot of people call it the devil, but I think it all depends on how you use it. Just like yourself, you can be the God and the devil based on the power and force that you decide to use. So for me, I like to look at it as what it was talking about in our lessons, when it talks about that lion going back and forth out the cage, but he was able to unlock the rusty locks with the modern technology. And I think social media is that modern technology that is able to get the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, knowledge of self, economic, whatever knowledge that we need out to the people. Because I was just in St. John, and there was 15-year-olds that follow us saying, man, we need to buy back our land. I mean, these brothers are super smart out there. Like they're in a city or a town or whatever you may call it, where they are dealing with covert white supremacy. They don't see a lot of white people, but the prices are sky high over there, things of that nature. But they're talking about, man, I don't know why my elders sold the land. I'm working so I can get the land back so we can build our own. They talking about fluoride in the water. They're talking about vaccines. They really are conscious over there because of social media. So I don't really see a lot of downsides. I think the downside only comes when we misuse it improperly.
Yeah. Deep.
I'm just noticing the logo. I don't know. I'm symbol literate, so that's a fish tank.
That's a fish tank
with some headphones. Okay, yeah, it's just hitting me.
We in the fishbowl.
Yeah, this the fishbowl.
We in the fishbowl. You see it all. You see. You jump in, jump out.
From a fish perspective. Okay.
I'll add something. I guess a downside of social media, but it goes back to what I said as well. It gives you a chance to really more actually exercise your lower self. Like many people may say, social media, man, now everybody can cheat. Now, everybody can slide in the DMs. You don't know who's doing what. Well, really, you're only magnifying who the person was anyway. So I think what social media does, it magnifies who you already were. So if you was already leaning towards your lower self and doing things you weren't supposed to be doing, that can be a downside, because now it's out in the open. Now you have, more chance where you can't get caught. Now you can Snapchat it where the picture going to go away. All those different things. So I think that can be a downside, that it's like no provision on it. You have access to everything. You have to be careful with giving children phones nowadays. They may be on YouTube, and the suggested video may be something you don't want it to be. Yeah. So I think that could be a downside as well.
That's actually pretty deep, because it's making me think in terms of where I always said that social media or the internet allowed you to create a fake version of yourself. But what you're saying really is, it's a fake version, but ultimately who you are, the core of your being, will represent itself through that initially fake being, right? I call it an avatar. Facebook is a digital version of us, right? You could delete your account. It's an account of how you think, what you do, where where you've been, where you're going. Right. Takes analytics of what you do.
Now, the devil being the devil, that stuff is not ever deleted.
You know what it is. Yeah. Delete your account.
They tell people, Snapchat, the thing goes away. Yeah, right. Nah, that's stored somewhere.
You a hologram somewhere. Let me define first of all, tell us the process of you becoming the Minister of Information. The Minister of Information.
Well, you know, that title actually came from 2 or 3 different ministers of information that was in the Black Panther Party. Just research teams. The whole idea of the first time I ever went to a study group was a Nation of Islam study group, and to gather that information and then to administer it. I think it became popular for me because I was doing something really fly and hip with it. Was administering the information from a platform that we had created, and you know, it was the Public Enemy platform. We had some of the firsts. First production crew. That actually a group of people got together to produce the songs instead of one producer. You hear a song produced by Quincy Jones or somebody, but there was a group of us that got together that produced the songs, and we called that group the Bomb Squad, which you saw the Bomb Squad down in Florida arrested my man who was sending them pipe bombs. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. But a DJ, Terminator X, that only spoke with his hands. A hype man, Flavor Flav.
Yeah.
A minister of information that provided the information. So yeah, these were some of the first in hip hop.
Yeah. That does the Minister of Information, that title, it made you dangerous from what when I listen to your different interviews, and because the information that you share it takes us down the rabbit hole. Were you ever afraid to be that guy?
Never afraid.
Never.
No fear.
Never.
Fear no one but Allah.
Yeah.
I don't have that fear. Sooner or later, I'm gonna go back to the essence, but only by Allah's permission, not anyone else's. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm not foolish. So it's one of those kind of situations. We know we speak the enemy's language. This is not ours. And we have to be very mindful of the nonverbal communication. That's why I talked about the fishbowl, the logo, because I'm symbol literate and I understand this thing is behind me. And I just had to try to look at it closely to kind of figure out how people are going to perceive me sitting in front of this fishbowl.
I can move the camera if you need me to.
No, we good.
Okay.
The fishbowl is cool. I just wanted to try to understand it. I had to get a closer look at it because it's actually Africa, South America, Canada, and some other. Okay, I see. I got it.
You see what we're working with?
But you know that red circle is the lower energy center. That's the chakra.
The chakra.
It's not necessarily a negative thing, but it's a root chakra because it grounds you.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm vibing with the logo.
Let's Well, if you think about it, though, if we want to get metaphysical about it, I'm in the red bowl. I'm taking people to the crown chakra.
Oh, that's okay.
Huh?
All right, you raising the vibration.
I'm raising the vibration.
Chakra. All right.
We'll go with it from that. But it's something that you, when I call you and I say people are afraid of information. I've said this to him. I'm like, people are afraid of information. You say people aren't afraid of information. They are afraid of what?
What it produces.
Right. What does it produce?
So why is it that a Minister Farrakhan can get banned, or a YouTube channel, or not channel, but program taken down, or blocked on Netflix, or blocked on Twitter? What is it that you fear if these are only words? Yes. See, now we have to redefine this whole idea of how much power do these words truly really have. And I tell people a lot of times, you don't need a lot of words. Anytime you've ever seen a quote on a t-shirt or a bumper sticker,
very simple,
very simplistic, because it's pregnant with hidden meaning. You understand what I'm saying? Ben X talked about a few seconds ago the whole idea of his age being 78 trillion, 76, 78 trillion years. That's deep and profound, simply because if we took a microscope, a very fine one, powerful one, and looked at his DNA and we look inside of it, we see millions of years of what he's connected to. You understand what I'm saying? So the whole idea of this, sometimes I hear writers having writer's block. Well, all we need to do is give that individual a methodology to go back into the self, to pull aspects of the self out of the self. Yes. And that reminds me of a concept that my wife lives by. a journey of the self through the self back to the self. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
You never lost. You never have writer's block, because you're constantly reinventing the creator inside of you to constantly create.
Mind blown, huh?
I'm usually never without words. That's why I have a radio show. I'm never without words. But that's what's so profound about you, Professor. For those of you just joining us on the Mental Speak Radio Show, I have Brother Ben X from Dallas, up and coming leader, future elder, and he is sitting in with the very profound. And I just throw it out there because I do think it matters as far as the music. But, you know, he's a rock and roll Hall of Fame legend, right? Sitting right here with us. He's here in Dallas for a speaking engagement along with Brother Ben X tomorrow. And it's entitled State of the Game. So they very graciously offered to come sit in the studio today. And we can, you know, we're just laying this down, and they're adding to the body of the show and previous shows and shows to come information for people to take hold of it, to understand. If you're not in the tribe, listen, it's still something for you to hear. You know, it's family business, but for the most part, I want people to know what we need. I want people to know and see the empowerment, that it's nothing to be afraid of. It's nothing to be afraid of. I remember I was watching the Donahue and the Mr. Farrakhan video, and it was fear. The way the people were responding, they were afraid. He hadn't even spoken yet, and they were afraid of what he was going to say.
What do you think it is? His presence, his auric field, like, what is it? Energy coming off of him?
What do we know it to be? What is it going to look like for a brother Ben to be empowered, right? In this setup, in this game, in this setup, for a young man, for young men to be empowered.
Right.
That would be scary if I have been conditioned to be afraid of him, right?
I think what's scary is the fact that, like we say, is that we're waking up. But the minister said the devil or Satan doesn't necessarily fear guns, because he has the biggest guns. He makes the guns. My brother Malik always talks about, you know, everybody wants to, you know, get the gun and bang on the beast shooting. But he says, once you run out of bullets, who you going to go back to? What you going to do, call time out and get some more bullets and then say, hey, I want to shoot you? So he doesn't necessarily fear guns. He fears truth, because America was built on falsehood, and, you know, everything that we're going through, even down to the fiat money, is down all the way down to the falsehood and the beliefs that we have. So once we began to put truth out that the youth are now picking up, you know, that's what I think they fear. You know, in the lessons as well, it talks about how they tricked us when we was babies with the food and things of that nature. So now, you know, you can't separate the mom and the father like you did back in the day and still get the same product of a child that you used to get. You know, I talked about in slavery how they would separate the mother and the father. Now they lose the mother tongue. Now they can raise them up with whatever belief that you can. But even though the man is still separated and the woman is still separated due to the man not wanting to be the provider, because it's 2018, the woman better go get 50%. So the woman and the father's going again. But now the child has access to YouTube. He has access to a Professor Griff. He has access to a Facebook and Instagram, things of that nature, where even though the mom and the father isn't there, they're still getting out of the self, and they may be getting more out of the self than they would if the parents was at home. So I think that is what they're fearing. They're fearing that truth is getting to the children, and they're not wanting to go through the same system that, you know, the elders went through that trapped them. Like, there's a lot of brothers and sisters in the street that ain't going with that, or go to school so you can get good grades, get a good job. They like, nah, man, I'm dropping out because I'm looking at the product of that. You know, that was my mindset. That's why I dropped out of college. That's why I quit my job, because I have people that's in my face, elders telling me, go to school, get a good job, get good grades so you can get a good job. But I'm looking at you happy on Friday because you got a free weekend, but then you miserable on Sunday because you got to go back to the plantation. So why would I want to live that lifestyle and see you miserable? Now I want to do something different. So I think that's what they fear.
Dang. Is it? Y'all lay it out. And so, now we're in a time where you guys have seen it. We're in, and it's amazing to me. I want you guys to speak on this. This is the age of, Trump is president.
Who?
Right?
Okay.
So my point being, shouldn't we be? I mean, to me, I'm seeing this progress in the revolution, despite the fact that Trump is in office. People have expressed fear that, they're afraid that he's in office, but why is it that we're still progressing? Why is it that we're still moving forward, if that's the case?
Well, I think he's aiding, unbeknownst to him, he's aiding to our rushing to get knowledge itself, our rushing to do for self. You understand what I'm saying?
And so I asked that question knowing that would be the response. So then I say to people, what are we fearing? Why do we continue to speak the fear? Why do we continue to feed into it? Right? We're paying attention to every single word that comes out on Twitter. If it gets tweeted, did you see what Trump said? What tweet? As you said, what tweet? I
think the ones who are speaking like that are depending on the politics or depending on a president. I heard Brother Reza Islam say something recently that he said that Honorable Elijah Muhammad said politics. And he said if you break it up, it's multiple ticks, multiple bloodsuckers. And so that's actually how I was thinking about politics anyway, But I think the people who are so worried about the president, so worried about what he's saying, is depending on a president to come in and save us. They're looking for a savior, I think. And I think majority of us are thinking like Professor Griff, like, hey, he, like the minister said, that's God's man, not in a divine way, but that he is, putting that fire in our back saying, hey, you need to see that we need to come together on this. You see white supremacists coming out now. They're open now. They've been here, but since he's speaking like he's speaking now, the minister said he's peeling back the onion on white civility. So now they coming out in the woodworks. So now it's our time to see that we must unite beyond your religious views, beyond your political views, beyond whatever views that we may differ in. You see that we have to come together, and we can't continue to depend on the welfare, because as the minister said, that's pretty much farewell.
Right.
So I think, the ones who are so worried about Trump and so worried about what he's saying is too busy depending on them and not depending on ourselves.
What have you been speaking on Trump? What are your thoughts about, just all that he puts out, the things that he's saying? See, I'll give my perspective, and I've said this to people. I get flack for it, but I see a sacred clown. I see a Trump card. I see the jester. I see the person that is, if you think back in the medieval times where you had the jester that stood in front of the people and said the foolishness, it was satire, right? He was on Celebrity Apprentice. He has brought the nature of a reality show to the White House to show you exactly what it's always been.
Right.
Do you agree? Do you
no,
see?
Of course,
yes.
And my thing is, that's a case of art imitating life, and life imitating art, and they blurred the lines, so there's no different. But the court jester is dangerous.
The court jester's dangerous because he's speaking truth.
Yeah, because he's the same one that'll love you to lull you to sleep in your laughter and your foolishness. Yeah, and then something is very critical that's going on behind the scenes, and they're not gonna. Let me tell you something. That presidential message that they send out over everyone's phone, and you can't shut your phone off, and you gotta get it. That's dangerous on multiple levels. You understand? What if they set a frequency that can lull you to sleep through the phone? A vibrational pitch coming through the phone that can hypnotize you, drug you. Or in the case of Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad and Johnny Cochran, how about acoustic sound weapon that can cause an aneurysm?
It's out there.
You understand what I'm saying?
I'm feeling it.
Or how about manipulating your nervous system from the panels, the flat screens, the cell phones, the pitch that's coming through that you can't shut off. So we have to be very mindful of the court jester. We have to be very mindful of us saying, whatever. But on a global scale, how is that affecting our people outside, the black African diaspora? How is that affecting him? What policies are he putting in place that's going to affect Ben X 10 years from now when he's 34?
Right.
So we have to understand this particular dynamic. Let me tell you something. If the popular vote voted for Hillary Clinton and Trump got in, we need to study that. How did that happen? Who's the Electoral College? I did a test one day and I said, can anybody in this room tell me where the Electoral College is? I had some. Massachusetts. It's down in, it's in Russia. I said, wow, we're lost.
And
it's not even a place.
It's not a place.
It's an institution. It's a mindset.
It is.
Hence the term state of the game. It's your state of condition, your state of mind. It's your spirit. It's a place. There's no physical place. Like, for example, where's your immune system? It's all of your systems combined that make up your immune system.
It's not a one organ.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it without, speaking French. How do you get these concepts across to people that you would think would already know these concepts? How do you say it to them without getting called out your name? Or without getting looked at like, okay, well, he's speaking down to people, he's arrogant, or no, but these are basic concepts that we should already know.
Right.
Before you get to the point where you're pointing the finger at Trump and calling him an idiot or a buffoon or whatever. So then when you do see Kanye West in the Oval Office, you say, I already know what that is. You have a brief conversation with your people in your inner circle about it and you let it go because you already know what it is. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, come on. But no, we spend hours and hours and hours on discussing that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a hurricane is happening over here and some other things are going on the globe that we should be paying attention to that we're not lending any attention to.
Yeah, yeah.
But we gave Kanye West 2 weeks on his 24-minute rant in the Oval Office, sitting next to an elder who should know better. Let's correct that madness right now. Jim Brown is not an elder. He's an older. And there is a difference. We're just going to leave that right there on the table.
Let it simmer. That is something that I'm glad that we put out in the sense of it needs to be stated. This jester, this court jester, this is what I call him, the role and the job of the court jester is to shake up your fears. But it's going to shake up your fears, and it's either going to it's going to trigger your fight or flight response, fight, flight, freeze response, and you're going to do one of those three things. You're going to fight, you're going to battle it, you're going to run, you're going to freeze. I submit that we face it. That you face it. You face the fears. You face everything that comes up, whatever the emotions that are triggered from the White House, through those Twitters, through the, through the presidential alert frequency, the presidential alert. Let the fears rise up so you can face them and to deal with them. And the way to deal with them is why we're giving the information today, because then you don't have to be afraid. You're aware, you have understanding, right? You're enlightened, you have more knowledge, you have more consciousness about that which you see in the reality, so there's no reason to be afraid anymore.
I think what you said is correct. I think a lot of times we have fear because we don't have a comprehensive knowledge. I think of Moses and the wise man in the boat. He feared when he poked a hole in the boat, but if he had a comprehensive knowledge of why he poked a hole in the boat, then it'd be a little bit different. I always give the analogy about a test that I had in college. Naturally when you have a test, you kind of fear if you're going to pass or not. Well, one day my friend, he saw a picture of the answer key on the desk, and he took a picture of it, and he had the, we all had the answer, but because he had the answers, or we knew what the outcome was going to be, we wasn't afraid to take the test. So naturally, of course, we had to seize, we had to mark something wrong to make it look right.
Right.
But we wasn't afraid because we already knew we was going to pass this test.
Yes.
So I believe some of us fear that we're going to fail the test, so some of us fear that we aren't going to be okay, or we don't know the outcome, so that is why we fear, because we don't have a comprehensive knowledge of what we're capable of.
But we were told, weren't we? Didn't the ancestors tell us what we were going to face?
They wrote about this day,
and
that we would be faced with this. And then But I think what the lesson in that we miss is the fact that even though he exacerbates these tensions and these fears and stirs them up, as you said, when we go to strike out, we lash out at the self.
As I told you with the boys,
right?
The
Exactly.
adolescence, it turns on the self. Then now we're talking suicide, right?
Yes, for some.
And putting ourselves in dangerous situations and making choices that are not healthy.
For some.
Yes, for some.
But we end up taking that aggression out on women.
Yeah.
We end up taking the aggression out on a Ben X that we might see on YouTube, and we disagree with what he's saying.
Black on black crime, as they call it. Who was that who said that? It was actually Bill Cosby's publicist that said, when we lash out and we attack, we don't listen to one another. That's a crime. It's a crime against someone to attack what Brother Ben X said on YouTube.
And the dangerous thing about that, they probably haven't even studied what Ben X has studied. But you speaking against something you have no knowledge of. And I've never really kind of understood that particular concept. I don't know what you're talking about, but I don't agree with you.
Right. I've never read about that. I don't. And and give me resources for what you just said,
so I can continue to disagree with you.
Continue to disagree with it.
Wow. I mean, that's a concept in and of itself, and it speaks to the degree of ignorance. And social media is a blessing and a curse.
It is.
There's no way you could be ignorant today, because all you have to do is Google it and then cross-reference. Yeah. At least you'll have some kind of idea on what you're talking about. And it just numbs my senses when I see people struggling with some basic stuff that you can easily just Google.
I was literally talking to somebody on YouTube. They was like, what do we do? What are we doing? Y'all ain't doing nothing, right? So I was talking about the Able Food Network, because we have thousands of acres of land and we have the food that comes in, but you have to go to the malls to actually order the pounds so it can be brought to you. So he says, y'all ain't got no food, y'all ain't got no land or whatever. I said, well, how do you know that? He said, because I haven't seen it. So I said, have you ever been down there to the mosques to see, if they have it there? Well, I ain't Muslim though. So I said, you said we don't have something only because you haven't seen it. So that's coming back and off of what he said. You're not even researching into it. You're not looking into it. You're disagreeing with it just because you, one human being out of 1 billion people, haven't seen it.
Did you ask him, are you breathing air?
Right.
You haven't seen it.
Are you Are you standing on Earth with gravity? Haven't seen it.
Haven't seen it. But anyway.
Yeah. Well,
that's that perpetual state of mindlessness. And when you pick up your phone and you do this half the day, it lends to that.
Yes. Yes.
And it sucks your spirit dry. You're not even equipped enough. Not you, not Ben. And I'm not talking to anybody that's listening to this. You're not even equipped.
Everybody else.
Right. It's everybody else. You're not even equipped enough in your disagreement. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's almost like we can't even do wrong right. We go about disagreeing.
Can't even do wrong right. We failing it wrong. Like, shoot. But it's the truth, and we're going to, Brother Ben X got a roll, but I do want to speak on consciousness. We're gonna take a moment, take a break, take a breather. I do want to speak to consciousness and why, again, people fear that next level of consciousness, but we need to talk about why it's so important and why it's a necessity in order to continue this revolution. Brother Ben X, you are just, again, I don't know what else to say other than you just give hope for the future for young men, young black men. And if you are here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, he will be speaking with Professor Griff tomorrow, the Pan-African Connection in Dallas.
Tell him to be on time, because I'm speaking first.
Be on time. Be on time. I even gave you time, because some of y'all be late to your own wedding. So I gave you some time to get there so that you could see this this legend that we have, an elder that we have among us, and coupled with the future. And the both of them are going to be speaking tomorrow again at the Pan-African Connection in Dallas. And you can come out, shake hands, meet and greet, and we're going to do that. Brother Ben X, what you doing next? What's coming down the pike for you?
Well, right now I'm building up my black-owned streaming platform, www.blackondemand.tv. I'm continuing this tour with the Shifters, where we are touring all over. We've just hit Virgin Islands together. I'll be in Philly soon, speaking at Tasties. And we're just, wherever the people are calling us to, we are answering the call and coming to help our people in any way that we can. I'm continuing to build, trying to build myself first, knowing that self-improvement is the basis of community development. So I'm building a study group, helping building a study group here in our area, right here in Waxahachie and Lancaster. And I'm doing what you see me doing on social media, continue to build, bring up the youth, and save as many people as I can.
How can people follow you? Instagram, get them all the little handles and all the good stuff.
You can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Brother Ben X. Everything is at Brother Ben X. You can Google Brother Ben X. Don't forget the brother. Put Brother Ben X in everything that you have, and you'll probably find me on there. YouTube and Facebook, it's a space in it, so you got Brother Ben X. And if you want to subscribe to the black-owned streaming platform that I have, is www.blackondemand.tv.
It's awesome. Just Brother Ben X everything. Get your merch. Brother Ben X cereal on the way. We got
Oh yeah, I have a book as well. I have it in my bag and some DVDs. If y'all want to get the book, the link is in my bio. Oh, hold on.
You can show it. Shoot.
Okay.
So we got Brother Ben X Steakhouse. It's coming, y'all.
Hot sauce,
Brother Ben X
vegan toothpicks.
Yeah. So this book right here, y'all. So if y'all want to get the book, this book is called Separation or Death: The Mindset of Self-Employment. Pretty much talks about my journey of quitting my job and leaving college, and some of the tactics and techniques that I had to use to pretty much be doing for myself with self-employment right now. So if you go to my Instagram in about an hour, because I got to change the link, if you hit that link, you can go to Brother Ben X book and order it. And if you're in the Dallas area and going to be at the event tomorrow, you can get it in person, and I'll sign it for you.
He be quick with that social media though. You see him like on one, and then he's like in a whole other state. Like
how do you do that?
How do you do that?
How do you
time travel
so much? Like how do you?
He got time travel. He don't tell nobody. Just tell us the secrets, man. It's just us and a few million.
Because one day you see him in a bow tie, next day he got like a warmer suit on, like he's just coming from the gym. I'm like, how this brother? All in the same day.
And he's in Kenya. Next day he's in Alabama. Right? It's amazing.
I try to capture as much as I can with what I have on and where I'm at, so I can, plan it for later. I got a video. You may be talking about the video where I was talking to myself in the Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just, that's editing.
When did you get back?
2 days ago.
Okay, I was like, where in the world?
The reason I actually do that is because I always wanted a brother. I was the only child, but I got over 21 brothers and sisters. A lot of them I don't even know. So since I grew up the only child, I created myself another character. So that's why you see me talking to myself in the camera a lot of times.
That is awesome. He is really dynamic, y'all. So follow him at Brother Ben X. That's the handle. And I just want to say thank you so much for taking this time to sit in with us. Looking forward to tomorrow. Get to see you up close and personal. And we are not done yet on the Mental Speak show. Shout out to the Urban Intellectual family who's watching and listening and tuning in. We're sitting in with Professor Griff of Public Enemy. And I just want to say thank you for listening to Mental Speak.
You're listening to the Mental Speak show on the Fishbowl Radio Network.
Get our best trained, best educated, best equipped, best prepared troops refuse to fight. Matter of fact, it's safe to say that they would rather switch than fight.
Hey, it is your host, Latanya Davison. We are on the other side of the Mental Speak show, heading into the second hour. Coming at you from Arlington, Texas, here in North Texas. Shout out to everyone across the country, around the world that's tuned in today to listen to the now, I can say it, the award-winning Mental Speak radio show, Fishbowl Radio Network. We picked up the solo Show of the Year 2018 award at the Fishbowl Radio Award ceremony on Saturday. What does that mean? Nothing. No, I'm kidding. Out of 150 shows at this network, 150 shows, global shows, there were, only so many can be recognized. For me, what it says is that what we've been doing over the last 10 months, which is giving information, knowledge that helps us to bring balance to self and society, is reaching people. It matters. And so I just want to say thank you to every person that has ever tuned in, that has shared, that has liked, that has listened, that has been moved. I get the feedback. I read it. I read the comments on whether it's Facebook. I read the comments on the podcast. I'm tuned in because I want to know what the people need. I know what I think you need, but I want to know what it is that you feel that you need. Okay? So, thank you so much again. There's so much more to come. Looking forward. Many more aspects. I'm not done with the mental health aspect yet, but we touch on social issues as well. And I rely on dynamic guests who come through here to share information with you, share their perspective with the world, and just help us to find our way. Today, we had in the first hour Brother Ben X out of Dallas, Texas. Great young man. Just follow him, and you'll see where information can build up a man. You'll see it. I don't want to say anything because I'll undermine it. Yep. Right? Yep. Information will build up a man.
Changes everything. I have my sidekick from Urban Intellectuals, fellow administrator and publisher David Pierce, sitting in with me. Hello all.
And the man of the hour is the Minister of Information. He is the man of the hour. He says he's not, but he's the man of the hour. He is the Minister of Information from the world-renowned, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame group, Public Enemy. And it's Professor Griff sitting in with us today.
Yes, greetings once again for the third hour. Is it the third hour?
I don't even know where we
are.
Hour. Yeah, it is the third hour. You push forth with us, but I'm just grateful and honored that you came to sit in with us today because, again, you said in the first hour of the broadcast that you might be edged out by the youth. Is that what I? Is that
no.
What'd you say?
Those that manipulate and control our culture, especially our subculture, hip-hop, are writing me out of history.
That is what you said.
Because it's going to be history that's going to set a foundation for young people. Even the young people that are on the scene today, they forsake those years that we done kicked the door down to establish hip-hop. Now that they're on the scene making money, they know nothing about the history.
Right.
And that's important. So 20 years from now, if Professor Griff is not on the scene, how are they going to remember Professor Griff? Am I just a rabble-rouser, or am I just this cat that just kind of shook up things in the 80s and no longer relevant? How's that going to work? History is best qualified, especially the research that we need to do, and most attractive to reward all our research. If we know what was, we better can understand what is, and we can carve out a future for ourselves. Is hip-hop going to end up behind the glass at the museum, where you're going to look at it and point?
at the hip-hop museum,
right.
Wax museum with the
exactly
Madame Tussauds
relics in there.
House of hip-hop.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, I want to be able to kind of at least make my mark in history. But the people that are manipulating and controlling it are writing me out of history. How do we prevent that? Is the question.
We do.
We have to have our own.
We do this.
We have to have our own. We have to have our own to be able to. Because look what's going on with Bill Cosby. There's a generation of people who don't know anything about him other than what he's gone through recently. And then in 10 years or so, there's going to be even more people who won't know anything about him. Where this guy had 60 years worth of service and 60 years of a career, and in about 10, 20 years, as you were touching on, there's going to be a lot of people that don't know anything about them,
right?
And we have to prevent that by having our own. And it's really, I heard you guys talking about Trump and how, he's not. I think Brother Ben said he's not a divine man, but he's definitely a God's man in this hour. And it should be forcing us, and I think it is. It's forcing us to, coalesce around each other, around these issues, unite. But we've. I think, at least I remember, back in the early to mid '90s, it happened cyclically. We'll come together, we'll feel good. You had the whole stop the violence, all of that in the early '90s, and then it kind of. We got lulled back to sleep, and then now it's here again, and I'm pretty sure it's happened over and over. But we're here again at this hour now, and I feel that this is not something that's going to come and go. I think this is something that's going to continue to build. We're going to have our own thing, so that they can't write you out of history. They can't write, our great. We have too many greats that we don't know about. I was watching Tumango. I was watching Tumango the other night, and I'm sitting here. I'm like, there's a lot of people that don't even know who Dorothy Dandridge is, and a lot of people that don't even know this movie exists. And there was so many deep quotes.
Right.
It was, we need our own. It's that simple. And Brother Ben, and he's an example of the youth that's out there doing it.
Right.
The brother is doing it. And. I'm happy for him, proud of him.
And we won't let it happen, Professor. That's to me, this is why, we've seen this platform work, particularly with urban intellectuals. We've seen where we're laying this down, where you are going to be a digital imprint. You're going to be on all the podcasts. Who can stop it at this point? Who can stop it? That's why I thought it was so important for you to come in and speak to the people, lay down your knowledge. As far as, I want you to speak on the word legacy. What is the legacy that you want to leave? If when people do speak of Professor Griff, what would they say?
I think the idea of legacy lies in your mission statement and your purpose in life. W.E.B. Du Bois was correct when he talked about the dual and the double consciousness. I'm not one person when I come to the radio station, and when I leave here, I'm somebody else.
Right.
I'm just the same person, but the whole idea. Let me give a prime example of the average Christian. The idea of Jesus and 12. The way we look at it from a metaphysical perspective is that you are that Jesus, and the 12 is the 12 different range of emotions that come along with you. You understand what I'm saying? Do we access all of them to use them for our benefit? See some people that one or two emotions, extremely happy or extremely angry and mad. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So we have to be able to say to ourselves, okay, Griff, what is your purpose in life? What's your mission statement? My mission statement sounds a little bit something like this. I'm a soul in search of souls that are like minds like mine. So then when you read the tombstone, it should read, here lies a man. You understand what I'm saying? Who was a soul in search of souls that was like mine. Alright? So we have to understand that particular dynamic. There can be no other God for me, before me, for me, other than me. And we need to understand. So some people say, wow, well, who you calling yourself God? No. The scripture says you're all God's children of the Most High God. So one day we got to grow up. Everything that we see divine in nature is in us.
Right.
And I want to be able to connect with like-minded people.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's not up to me to determine how people are going to read me in history.
Yeah. As a seeker of souls, then I want you to speak to this title of the album that you have put out. How you sell soul to a soulless people who sold their soul.
Yeah, that's deep in and of itself.
Man.
It's you have to be able to know how to construct soul. And then How do you package it? What you do? Speak it into the etheric realm, and people just get it because they get it,
Right.
Because you have the capability.
Yes.
The melanated frequency is activated, and you just pick up on it. Or how do you get it? So if you go to construct soul in order to sell soul, that's a concept in and of itself. How you sell soul, and then how did the people become a soulless soul?
And who did you sell it to?
Exactly.
And I want to deconstruct it, because that was the thing that stood out to me as a people in this setup in America, United States. What have we sold out to?
I think people have to find, I call it escapism. James Brown gave it to us. But James Brown gave us attention outlet also. You understand what I'm saying? All of those artists, and I'm going to speak to it tomorrow, all of those artists that left us with a very untimely death were coming into a certain degree of consciousness.
Yes, yes.
And our open enemy knew that. But what you just read was a public enemy title, but it was asking a question. How do you sell soul to a soulless people that sold their soul? So when James Brown came in 1968 with an afro, with a fist in the air, asking a question, just say it loud, and the call and response, we said, say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Whatever that meant to us at that particular time, we instinctively knew what that meant. You understand what I'm saying? So this whole idea of Prince leaving us, a very untimely death. Michael Jackson leaving us with a very untimely death. Don Cornelius from Soul Train. We could look at the legacy of Aretha Franklin leaving us, and then we can go back and sit back and say, okay, who did they leave all of that valuable information with? Who's in charge of and own right now all of Death Row songs? Who owns the Aretha Franklin Foundation? Who's responsible for that? Who's responsible for all that Soul Train, that footage?
The 50% of Sony that MJ had purchased.
Exactly. So then once we figure out who's the common denominator, then we can solve half of that problem.
Yeah.
Who's selling the soul to a soulless people that sold their soul?
Wow. So deep. So I want to speak to that. The word consciousness has become to be a conscious person. So now it's a joke to call someone woke, right? So we're saying that someone who's woke has come into consciousness and awareness about the reality, the social reality that is going on around us and within us. Why is to be conscious still considered something someone can degrade you for? Oh, you think you a conscious brother? Did you experience that when you were early on in Public Enemy? Because we get it now with urban intellectuals. It's something that we receive.
Let me tell you something. When I was coming up, you get your beep handed to you. You come at us like that coming up.
Wow.
Nah, we operate in circles where you had to have knowledge yourself, or you get physically beat down. We used to run up on stage and take the mic out of people's hands because you weren't talking about anything. No, not when I was coming up. Nah, y'all operating on some different rules.
Nah, this Unchained right here, we throttled him back a little bit. He would go ham on somebody. Like it was the equivalent of like rushing somebody and then clotheslining them. He did that on the comment section. Don't play with him.
I had to.
Don't play.
I was told to restrain myself, or I would not be
right. And we have to.
Yeah.
You know, you have to have some tact, but man.
I know you have him here, right?
No, this is a
because it's like I got all these questions, and it's just like
I'm like, what do I ask him? And then what I say? Because we have you here. You are literally in you're. What do they say when an elder passes? A library passes away. So it's like we just want to pick your brain. I want to know. Did you guys face flack in Public Enemy from the industry? I heard you say the other day the music industry is not in trouble. It was the record industry. Did you face flack from the record industry for the consciousness that you were starting to spread, and how so?
No, I think I was the only one that really kicked up dust at the end of the 80s that caused the industry to give Public Enemy any degree of backlash. Before then, they were really truly curious because it caught them by surprise. So. Yeah, it wasn't really because it was a lot of truth on those records. It wasn't until we really started doing the interviews outside of the records and moving things outside of the music, that's when they said, okay, that has to be stopped.
That's the results.
Yeah.
Right. That's why we had the conversation earlier about the numbers. So what?
Right.
2,000 people are on Instagram, and unless I can get them 2,000 people to move on one agenda, one accord at one time, that's when I become dangerous. That's when they shut my Instagram down. But just 2,000 people being on there, okay. Let me tell you something. What's a new phone that's about to come out? The iPhone 49 or whatever? I can unbox that and get 1 million views.
Right. Yeah.
So what does that mean?
You're right.
So what had Public Enemy started to affect that they could see? Because it sounds like they were okay with the money that was coming in, but when they realized that numbers of youth could be moved, right, which would obviously affect the influx of people going into the prison system, correct? You was about to start playing with their money.
Right.
So how did it start to move towards the direction where you got shut down? Because I think we remember it, but we don't know the...
Physically, when you started to see brothers taking off the fake Dookie gold ropes and putting on African medallions. Physically, when people started taking pride. Physically, when we linked up with Wise Intelligent for Poor Righteous Teachers and X-Clan and Queen Latifah, Brand Nubian, and some other people. When you see people's consciousness physically changing, that's when they said, wow.
I did it at 13.
Right.
right. I was just thinking back to the days. I'm like, man, and everyone, it just felt natural. It felt like a natural,
instinctive,
right?
Right.
Yeah, like you said, we didn't know it. I feel that there was a part of us, those of us who were Christian coming up. It was scary, and it was like, ooh, you're not supposed to. I heard a lady the other day. She said, "I'm Christian before I'm black," or something like that, and and that's how it was. It was it's your faith before your race, or your faith before your people. And Public Enemy taught us something different.
Quite the contrary. Just the opposite.
Yeah.
You in the womb. You're not a Christian in the womb.
Right.
You surrounded by that black melanin in the womb. You black before you anything. Because that's that cosmic consciousness. Everything comes from darkness into light, the positive darkness. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
There's nothing that we can speak on right now that didn't come and from the whole idea of black consciousness. As far as melanin is concerned, everything. Everything.
What you got? And it's just coming into, and so when we speak, I want to speak to the listeners. So when we're speaking about consciousness and we're talking about it from the perspective of, and I always say the particular tribes, because Professor Griff on this show, I've done white male mental health, believe it or not. I spoke specifically to the tribe of men that I was seeing in the hospitals and how they can't deal with the pressures of privilege and all those kinds of things. I addressed that. I've addressed issues in Mexican community, issues in we're getting ready to do issues in the Muslim community, right? Issues in the Asian community. So I've addressed all the different tribes. So to the listeners, you need to understand that each tribe has its own set of historical was past things that they need to heal and things that they need to work on as a collective. So when we speak today and we talk about black consciousness, all we're saying is that we have had a very unique experience here within the confines of this continent, even around the globe. And so there are very necessary steps that need to be taken. Somebody commented here, what they say, we something about we won't do it ourselves or something. I read your comments on Facebook, but for those of you who are saying that we don't do what we're supposed to do, this is us doing what we're supposed to do, and we have to talk about it before we get to it. So if it makes you uncomfortable,
yeah, and that's the thing that's really unfortunate is that black folk, embracing themselves, embracing consciousness, is just always going to be fearful to a lot of other people, and including a lot of ourselves, because at the end of the day we're so ingrained with Christianity and white supremacy and inferiority complexes that anything that empowers it seems like those things just it's almost like those things are like sentinels in your mind that attack every thought that may empower you, and you kind of just reflect that outwardly, you know, and you end up looking at a person like, did you really just say that?
That's deep.
You know, and so this is a real exciting time, man. I believe personally, I believe we are living in the time that has been described as judgment, that the time that's been described as resurrection. You know, whether you're in those what they call the New Agers that talk about ascension, you know, all of it has the same source, and we're living it right now. You're watching people wake up. You're watching people embrace empowerment. We're watching people build their own. I mean, I'm coming here from East Texas, but I'm coming here in my own vehicle, my own truck. I earn a living doing for myself. I've taken those teachings and try to apply it to my life as much as possible. And a lot of people are doing that, you know, and so
we're seeing it in pockets. And I want to say this. I've been wanting to say this and have a space to say this, but to me, I feel that our ancestors told us that there would come a time of the testing, and it requires the sacred clown. It requires the very thing that you fear, for us being, you know, we've been living under this supremacy, and the only way to get out of it is to go through it, right? And to purge it. We had to purge it, but we didn't even believe it existed up until all this stuff started happening with the shootings. I can't believe that they don't like us. We couldn't believe that they would call the police on us at the park barbecuing when we done that all of our lives. Like, really? We didn't know, you know, Peppermint Patty or whatever her name is would call the cops on us. We thought that she liked us.
Right, Permit Patty.
Permit Patty.
So do you think it's doing something to them also?
I think so.
When we're talking a purge?
We're talking about 46 minus 1, setting something in motion. That's Trump. Setting something in motion.
Yes.
That's affecting them more than affecting us. And what we're doing is we're witnessing and we're seeing the dismantling and the unraveling of these people's mentality. This is why I urge people not to take white supremacy out of the definition of racism. It's racism, white supremacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it speaks to their mindset. And we have to understand that particular dynamic, and it's happening right before our eyes.
Right.
One prime example. When we got hooked on crack and other stuff, and we went to get treatment, and they lied to us and gave us Tylenol, and just stuff to scrap, just put a Band-Aid on a cold.
Placebos.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Then they turn around, and they're suffering from the opioid epidemic.
Judgment.
Karma.
They go to get treatment, and they're given the heavy drugs, which makes them more dependent on the drug. And you see what's happening now across the country.
Judgment. You know, judgment. It's like Trump has always, before he was elected, I said, you know, if they go for Hillary, it's the status quo. If they go for Trump, it's going down. We know that, you know, full on judgment is at hand. If they go for Bernie, you know, that to me would signal, you know, the nation wants to move in the right direction, wants to make up for its fault. That's just how I reconciled it in my mind. And when Trump was elected, I'm like, yeah, judgment. We're about to see judgment full on, because it's hypocritical. When what you're seeing is everything that we've experienced, they are starting to feel the effects of it. You know, it's prime example. You brought up the drugs in the 90s, 80s, 90s, and you see what's going on today with the white folk, and how it's even addressed. You know, when it's going when they're at first, you know, they were just locking us up, but now they want to give them treatment and all this other sort of. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you do. It's judgment, karma, reap what you sow. That it is what it is. You know, just hold on and let's get through it.
Right. Let me ask a question here. I don't mean to be facetious or anything.
Come on.
If we're 3 insects and all 3 of us get caught in the spider's web. And there are 3 spiders in the web. Bernie, Trump, and Hillary.
That was her point.
Yep.
Do you think they care?
No.
That's what I always said to them.
No, they don't.
The web is the web. The web is racism, white supremacy. And it's designed to support whatever the spider wants to say and do for the survival of not the insects but the spiders, regardless of who they are.
Right.
So one part of the web is Democrat, the other part is independent, the other part is Republican. Doesn't matter. The time for the insects that are caught in the web, that's not the time for us to argue with one another and try to figure out who's the best spider, because we're all about to get eaten, right or wrong.
Absolutely.
You can't negotiate with the spider after you get caught in the web. The thing is to not get caught in the web. And even if you do, we got to contact our country kinfolk outside the web to help us get out of this. Do you understand what I'm saying? When I say out of the web, out of that state, out of that mindset, we're not going to free ourselves inside the constructs of the system that they created to enslave us. It's not going to happen. You're not going to vote your way out of this.
Can we what I've been saying? Can we talk about? Can we lead into this, because we have you here? Can we talk about the 13th and 14th Amendment? Can we talk about? I've been trying to school people on what it is. Between the Emancipation Proclamation and the ratification of the 14th Amendment, it made us liberated but not free. And
hence the definition of Emancipation Proclamation is a proclamation. It's not freeing you.
No.
Emancipate don't necessarily mean free. You're not free to take this promise that they gave us of having 40 acres and a mule and do for yourself. No. Listen.
Free range slaves, that's what we call it.
Yeah, go on. It's about to get amped in here, but go on. I'm gonna just keep my temperament here. No, go on.
No, let's get it. We got about 11 minutes to just go in. Listen, the reason that I bring that up at such a time as this. Now, vote. Someone argued me today. No, should we vote? I said, you as a man, I want to see you doing what Brother Ben X is doing. If you got behind as a grown man behind a young man, it's a shame that a young man has to tell you the way to go, and you're still going to the polls.
Right.
And so this is why knowledge is essential, fam. This is why I keep putting this out, and I don't know how another way to do it, because when I try to do it, you make fun of it. We think you're woke. You think you're conscious. No, I just have the information, and I want you to get it.
Right.
So we have an elder here who's trying to give it to you as well. We were given liberty. Liberty and freedom are not synonymous.
Right, they're not. No.
Freedom means no external, no outside control. Liberty means you're able to move, but you have outside control. So you can go vote all you want to, but they're still going to have they're still going to control who you vote for. They're going to control, right? The spiders are going to control the web, regardless.
And even for those who believe in voting, and I had a discussion that proved that it doesn't matter. I said, well, look, if Kanye went into the Oval Office and was able to get this man who came through the door signing executive orders, if he was able to get him to sign executive orders right now saying that we will have all the resources we need to address all our issues, there would be no holds barred, would you vote for that person? And they said no. And I'm like, that proves that voting doesn't matter to people. Because at the end of the day, not only do you want what you want, but you want it from a certain person when it shouldn't even matter. If someone is speaking to you, if voting works, if someone is speaking to and supporting your cause, that's who you vote for. But even in that discussion, you saw folks saying, well, no, I couldn't do it, because, I'm a Democrat and I need to vote for a Democrat, even though the scenario said, what if a Republican gives it to you? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because people are not even educated enough to cast the vote, and they know this, so at the end of the day, I mean, you got to do what the Chinese and everybody else do. Group economics takes away all of the need to depend on any politician,
And Professor, you talked a lot about the ritual. We understand, without going too deep on it, but to go and cast A vote it's a ritual of literally surrendering your power. You're going to cast into whatever being or entity that has been put before you that says, hey, I'm going to have power over your municipality, over everything that you have to go on. You're going to cast your power to me. I don't know any other way to put it simply to you guys. So you can argue me all day, but I'm giving you the science of it, right? You are handing over psychologically and physically the power to someone else to forge your path.
Right.
I have a question, Professor. Is it time to just, for the folk with like-minded folk to just go ahead and do their thing and stop trying to help others? Is it time for us to just say, okay, this is what we got, this is who we got, let's just go with this?
Just refine the question for me. When you say like-minded folks to help others what do you mean?
What I mean is it time for, we're putting out all this information, urban intellectuals, we put out all this information, we made it accessible for millions. Right. And not everyone wants that information. Not everyone has what it takes to even desire that information because they're so busy doing other things, whatever. Is it time for folk of like minds to just go ahead and build instead of waiting on everyone to join before you do anything?
Right. So exactly. 2021 to 2025, they said they'll have flying vehicles. They're not going to sit around and wait on our approval. They're just going to they're not going to do that. So I'm just saying to you, like-minded people need to get together and go on and make it happen. Listen, everybody ain't going to make this, man. And we need to be comfortable with that fact and accept it. Everybody's not going, they're not going to make it, plain and simple. So if I was invited here by this young lady here, and I went and did the research, who are these people? Let me go see what I'm getting myself into. And everybody agreed with y'all. I said, nah, I ain't coming. Because I don't know what y'all got going on.
Right.
Somebody has to disagree with something.
Right.
Yes.
And that's just the nature of things and the way it's going to be. And we have to accept that's just the way it's going to be.
Right.
Marcus Garvey said, there are some people, and I know I'm probably misquoting him. This is not a quote. Marcus Garvey said, there's some people out there we can't do nothing with, nothing for. They no good to us here in America or in Africa.
Wow.
They, like Kanye West, will self-destruct. Watch what I say and mock my words. They're going to give him every platform that he desire, and he's going to self-destruct.
You said to me, and we're getting into that wind down, but you said to me that people don't necessarily want information because they don't want the responsibility of having it. What is the responsibility for those that receive this information today? What is their responsibility should they choose to apply it?
That is nothing for us to dictate to them. The Spirit has to guide
I like it. I like it.
I heard the word, and I took what I learned, and I did the music thing. You understand what I'm saying? To raise the consciousness.
Yep.
Somebody might do it somewhere else. Muhammad Ali did it in the ring. That's a serious dynamic thing. It's square, but it's a ring. Anyway, but
we got you.
People did it different ways.
Square in the what is it? Circle,
Right.
square.
So we have to understand that particular dynamic.
Yeah.
We can't dictate that to people. They may hear something with what we said today for the last 3 hours, be like, I got it. I want to open up a bakery. You understand what I'm saying? I want to open up an independent school. I want to open up an online independent school where students don't even have to leave their house. They can just log on and the parents sit next to them and we make it happen. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
What we're doing right now is we're giving birth to the possibility.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Or they can do nothing, right? They can also choose.
They can absolutely choose to do nothing and then rely on other people. And those are people you see in the voting line.
Burn. Oh.
I remember I asked that same question when I first got deep into my studies. I called up Ashra Kwesi and I say, I think my voice was quivering. I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing with all this information? It's like, it's overwhelming. I'm looking at all this stuff that's never been taught in mass, and I'm like, you feel like you're supposed to do something. I just feel like I'm supposed to do. And he said the same thing. He's like, brother, I just, my job is to put the information out.
Exactly.
Whatever you do with it, you know, your heart going to, you know, dictate that. And so, you know, that definitely resonated.
Right. When I first heard it, I just helped my mom take the white Jesus off the wall, take the pork out of the refrigerator. You know, basic things, practical things.
Okay.
So I can keep mom around. I don't want to. My grandmother lived to be 94, but she couldn't walk or talk, and she had no teeth. No.
Right.
No, I want us to be around. You understand what I'm saying? Functionable.
Yeah.
And sane. You follow what I'm saying?
I follow exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. So
like we see the minister almost 90, and he's still giving talks for 2 hours at a time and working.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to have those faculties when I'm that age. So
right, exactly.
That definitely resonates.
Right.
So you've heard it, fam. You have heard it. If you are in the DFW area, you can come on out tomorrow to the Pan-African Connection and get fed. Get fed knowledge. He's going to give it on a deeper level. State of the game. The state of the game. He's going to tell us what the state is, and he's going to tell us what the game is, and he's going to tell us how to play and how to win. I hear that.
Give a set of rules and a methodology that works.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's really what we're doing, and what we're hoping to do, fam, is to break down the illusions, right? We've been in Oz. That's just the reality of it. This is Oz. We got the wizard who promises you all things and all, you know, courage, heart.
Be careful.
Right?
Be careful.
Come on.
No, because the Oz, the man behind the curtain promised you something that you already had.
That's where I was headed.
You didn't know you had it.
That's where I was headed.
Right.
It's already in you, Dorothy.
Wake up and know you got it.
It's already in you, Dorothy. You click your heels 3 times and you find your way. And Professor Griff has spoken to that as returning to the self, basically.
Yes.
And that's the work that I do.
Yes.
You wouldn't believe it. I do it in therapy. Is teaching people how to become self-aware, self-conscious, and you'll learn the world. You'll learn other people around you. So it doesn't matter what we talk about on Mental Speak. I promise you, the goal is always going to be to have the difficult discussions that we don't want to have.
Right. That's the elephant in the room. Everybody know the elephant doing number 2 all over the living room.
All over.
But nobody want to say anything.
Nobody want to say.
You understand what I'm saying?
It's an elephant in here. Y'all see it. And it's making a mess. It's going to hurt somebody. So, what are you doing next? So after Pan-African Connection, are you still going to be touring cities?
Yes, but I am actually going to take some of the aspects of my work and go back to the street. Me and my wife Soleil, we're doing.
She's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I'll tell her you said that.
Please do.
Me and my wife, we're doing a talent showcase in Atlanta, starting on November 16th, right in Atlanta at Soul Village Moods Music at Little 5 Points. We're bringing in the talent. First, you got to give us a submission. The submission is going to cost you. We got to check you out because there's rules and levels to this. No cursing, no N word, no B word, no H word, no W word. You understand?
They go 40% of the.
Exactly. We're weeding them out because we want to find the really talented people.
Yeah.
We're setting up some live music, some instruments for people to come play, and we're gonna do a real talent showcase. And like I said earlier in the other segment, I'm working on my app. My app is Sirius Mindz. And before we leave, I need y'all to download my app. It's SiriusMindz. It's on the Apple Store. It's in the Play Store, Google Play. All right, SiriusMindz. All right, it's the Sirius Mindz app. And the brothers contacted me and said, well, what you want on this app? So I sent them a list of what I want on the app. I want us to be able to go on the app and have these discussions without being interrupted by being cut off. I want to be able to go on the app and have a virtual library, get a virtual library card. What's wrong with that? Preserving our culture.
Nothing.
So the information just needs to sit on a server somewhere and you go access it.
And that is why it is perfect for you to link up with UI, because that's the UI purpose, Urban Intellectuals. It's positively black images for us to begin to learn the truth about who we are, so we can get back to self and build from that foundation.
Exactly.
The foundation that we've had, y'all, it was made of sand.
What is wrong with me clicking on my app right now, and the 1,000 people that's registered on my app get to hear this straight through my app?
Straight through your app.
You ain't got to go on any of these social media that's monitoring this stuff.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's right there on the app.
Direct.
Sirius Mindz.
For Sirius Mindz, seriously.
Pan-African Connection tomorrow. See how they do?
Yep, there you go.
See how they do?
It just happened.
You saw it.
They shut you down.
You saw it with your own eyes. So, fam, Pan-African Connection tomorrow, 1 to 4 p.m. If you're on the Facebook Live feed, it just went gone. But mentalspeakradio.com, I also have an app. Believe it or not, I have an app on for Android. It's coming for iPhones, but we got the podcast, Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, on and on and on. You can go to the Mental Speak Radio page, and if you need to talk to me, if you want to hit me up, you got ideas, lt@mentalspeakradio.com. urbanintellectuals.com. It's everything you need for black culture, black history, from a black perspective. Okay?
Right.
Yes. Please don't hit me up and say, why you talking about all that black stuff? Because that's where we're at. That's where we're at. More to come. Mental Speak family, thank you so much for tuning in with us. Professor Griff, I mean, need I say anything else?
Oh, give thanks. Someone asked me, what am I mixed with? I said, black.
You got that good hurl. We got that good hurl.
I really appreciate y'all having me up here at Urban Intellectuals. Thank y'all very much for having me. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow in the building at Pan-African Connection. It'll be good to see them. I was coming in and out of the DFW area for a long time when Ben Deli was still alive.
Wow.
Yep. So, yeah.
You know what? I just have to say that again, you put out the word, and I had to answer the call. So thank you.
Oh, give thanks. I really appreciate that.
All right, fam. So Mental Speak family, I will see you tomorrow, Saturday at the Pan African Connection, and I'll be back next week. All right. Thank you so much. LT Gone.